It's training day for an X-Men with this new release from Diamond. Here's your look at the Diamond Select. This is the Uncanny X-Men Beast Gallery Diorama statue. Henry Hank McCoy was born a mutant and showed signs of being different from birth with his unusually large hands and feet. As a youth, Hank's freakish appearance was the subject of much ridicule from his classmates, earning him the nickname of Beast. In his senior year, Hank's supernatural agility and athletic prowess earned him recognition as a star football player, and Hank was invited by Professor Charles Xavier to join the team of Teenage Mutant Heroes, the X-Men, and enroll in the Xavier School for Gifted Youngsters. During one of his experiments, Hank discovered the hormonal extract that causes genetic mutation and underwent radical physical changes that enhanced his agility and strength, as well as causing him to grow fangs, pointed ears, and fur all over his body. He has been a member of the Avengers and the Defenders, but he has always returned to the X-Men. This PVC diorama Beast is based on his appearance in Marvel Comics and is made of high-quality PVC with detailed sculpting and collectible quality paint applications. First thing I fancy doing is measuring off to the very top, or in this case, the very bottom of Beast. After all, he is upside down, right? The bottom of Beast? Okay. To the very end of his 5 little piggies, his little toes. According to the readout here on the trusty tape measure of mine, the statue of Beast stands, literally on his hands, at 12.6 inches in height. And that in centimeters works out to be 32.1, a little over 32 centimeters tall. I'd like, if I can, to send out a big thank you to the folks over at Diamond Select who are nice enough to provide this sample that we're having a look at in this review. Getting a firm grasp, not too firm of a grasp, but just enough to pick up the base, we'll have a look at the Beast statue as the places we normally start with these statue reviews, and that's the bottom base in which the statue stands atop of. Well, he stands via the one hand, a rather successful feat when you think about it, the fact that it's just the hand that's holding him up. The interesting thing about the stand, though, there's Beast's head, he's staring right back at you. But if you turn the base around itself, the X logo is on this side. He's sort of on this platform that almost mimics a holodeck pad of Star Trek, though I don't imagine he's transporting anywhere. But it's interesting that the X logo is right here. I mean, if anybody wants to line up their symbols for displaying their statues, you probably would want to go like this route. But then it ultimately results in looking at the statue from the back rather than the front. I'm not really sure why they didn't simply just put the X logo right here, or like right here. But at any rate, it's at the back. The base itself is a really nice metallic gunmetal gray. It looks like it's made of a two-tone effect with slightly darker shades of that same color, airbrushed in kind of like the little recessed pockets of the pad. I'm not really sure, again, what the pad serves to be. It could be just a starting point in the danger room, leading possibly to a theory I might have as to what all these extra things are attached to his body. The pad itself, like I said, is done really quite nicely in this metallic gunmetal gray, with the center pad done in a matte black. Outside ring of fire, where's Johnny Cash when we need him, is actually done in a really nice bright red color. There's no bleeding whatsoever. The paint is rather quite clean. And even places where I would expect paint to possibly bleed. The number one contenders, these 5 little friends of these right here, I would imagine like these fingerprints would have likely bled some white paint. I'm happy to report, and based on what you're currently seeing right now, there is no quality issues when it comes to the paint application. And it seems generally quite consistent when we look at the rest of the statue. Just in case you are wondering what the bottom looks like, some people get kicks for looking at the bottoms of statue bases. Well, there you go. Feast your eyes on this, gentleman. It's quite the hollow cavity. It's not really much of what you're going to be seeing here, although you do see one standalone section of plastic. That's just the point that attaches to a beast's hand right here. The next best place to start is probably to go to Beast's head, which I really am a big fan of. Beast is certainly one of those characters where I have an on-again, off-again love for. Sometimes I really like the character, like the original classic X-Men the Animated Series. Sometimes I really don't, like the X-Men First Class and those sort of rebooted X-Men films. I didn't really care for the Beast in that, but this is really classic old-school Beast. It couldn't be any bit more old school than that. I'm going to defy the laws of gravity and flip Beast upside down. That would have been also a neat way to display the figure, although I certainly would not gamble on the idea of having the hand solely hold the weight and not have Beast fall over. But for the sake of this, take my word, I am actually holding it, so it's not going to be going anywhere. An inverted look at Beast's face. It certainly is something akin to the old Jim Lee style of X-Men comics. Those X-Men #1s, which I'm sure everybody in their heyday had picked up. I think there was a total of 4 covers and a deluxe cover. I happened to pick up all 4 of those. And this does remind me, if I can, of the Beast from that cover and the Jim Lee art style. I really quite like this. I like it a lot, and I like that they also didn't add pupils to the eyes, instead keeping them as vacant and white as the teeth that he's smiling. And quite a happy smile on his face. If this was any other monster staring right back at you with a big devilish smile on his face, I think it would be something that you'd be taking caution of. But Beast is a gentle soul, gentle when he needs to be, so this actually looks more like a playful smile than anything else. The panel lining's done quite nicely, and a two-tone effect once again is incorporated here with darker tones of black or dark blue mixed with this really familiar Beast navy blue that makes up the majority of not only his face, but the rest of his body as well. Really nice job on this face. I would love to see, and I know we've already gotten ourselves a Beast, more of a different older school, an old school of Beast from comics. Certainly love going back to a point I had mentioned in another review of Diamond Select actually starting to do like the X-Men animated series figures. And I think that would be a fantastic looking Beast to incorporate into that. Big, burly, pork chop sideburns down on the sides, the rather familiar Wolverine style of hair for Beast's face. I really can't think of what I would do differently to improve this face. I think if I was to submit that question to many members of the mob, I think many people would come back, and I hope would come back with the idea that they wouldn't want to change anything to this. That's a perfect Beast likeness. As we move our way out, still defying the laws of gravity, you can sort of see how Beast is really well assembled. Looking at all the things that really make up Beast, his furry hide, for example, he's got fur all over his body. And it does look like what they ended up probably doing was using a dark plastic and then simply just painting like the foreground hairs right here, painting that in the blue. And it gives you a really clever and easy to pull off effect where you've got the more up close, the up front hairs being the more blue color, and then the dark blue plastic or the dark black plastic being underneath all of that. Accepting that there's gravity in the world, I decide to flip it back to the way it would look if you've displayed it on your shelf. Beast in his inverted state, again, he's holding himself up via one hand, and then he's sort of got these little cylinders, like he's passing a baton to the next member of the X-Men. The only thing I can think of, and based on the fact that he is on this pad, this is obviously something in the danger room. And I'm wondering if these are floating like little batons that an X-Men would be able to hoist themselves up on. And Beast instead is just sort of navigating himself around it. He's got 4 of these. One on his arm, on his forearm, one by his hand, one by his knee, and then one at the back or the bottom of his foot. You can see it right there. It's done in that same kind of gunmetal gray, although it does look a little bit more shinier than the base itself. He's not really holding on to any one of these, which again makes me think that he's sort of navigating his way through it as a training exercise, or he's just being playful in the danger room. I can't imagine that they're weapons, nothing that's being fired at him at least. So I do think it's something he's more so training with. Other things, familiar sights to be seen with Beast is the fact he's got his black trunks with the yellow belts and the Xmen logo. The Xmen logo is done in red, and as you can see, it hasn't necessarily, well, it has been painted. Let me just stop myself with that train of thought I was going down with. It's not simply just painted on a regular flat surface. There's actually like elevated sections of the X and recessed sections in the red, so they've actually sculpted that in as opposed to just painting it. It's small touches like that that really shows the amount of care and detail that Diamond Select puts into their pieces. Again, you've got the continuation of fur. There's Beast's head again. What a fantastic head sculpt. I got to stop myself again by saying, what a fantastic head sculpt. Easily one of my favorite Beast pieces. As we, again, carry our way down, we've got the fur, little tufts of darker fur on the sides, not only of his legs, but as you may have missed it, he's also got on the sides of his arms there as well. But we make our way, continuing our way down, and there's Beast's very large feet with toenails I can imagine have not been clipped in a good amount of time. It's one of the only few areas, like his face, which is solely just in blue. They did do some additional panel lining done to it and airbrush some areas around the toes just to kind of bring out and separate each one of those from their leading general right on the end there, and all the little soldier toes along the way. There is really clearly, for me, nothing I would change about this particular statue. It has Beast in an acrobatic pose, so that's good. It has one heck of a likeness, pardon my French, and that is definitely another plus to this piece. This is really, for me, one of the best likenesses of Beast, capturing really for me what I think is a definitive look for the character. Again, I like the pose that they put him in as well, not simply resorting to museum pose. Diamond Select is not about museum posing their figures. They're all about putting them in poses that are particular to the character themselves, and I definitely would think that this is a pose specifically for a character like Beast, and it pulls off oh so rather well. For me, Beast is a lot like Root Beer. Where is he going with this comparison? For me, Beast is a lot like Root Beer. It's not something I want all the time. I have to be in the right frame of mind to want Root Beer, and I have to be in the right frame of mind to like Beast. Beast, for the most part, I generally do like. There's some incarnations and different looks that he's had over the years in comics and movies that I don't really like as much. I consider myself a bit of a snob, an old school hang-oner. Is that even a word? Somebody that likes one definitive look for a character and really doesn't settle for anything else but that. For me, when I close my eyes, Beast has the big Wolverine-style hair, the big mutton chop sideburns, and big burly eyebrows. That's the way I picture Beast. Shorter hair or a slightly more animalistic, more dog-like version of Beast, not so much. It's not my thing. And that's when I'm not in the mood for Root Beer. This is my perfect Root Beer, handled perfectly by the folks over at Diamond Select. I love this pose. And that face sculpt, mwah! You can see what I just did. I put my fingers up to my lips and made the kissy kissy. You probably could even hear that in final looks here. Did you manage to pick up this one for yourself? For fans of Beast, specifically the X-Men Beast, and in his old school look, which is a Beast I wouldn't have any other way, this is the perfect addition to your statue collection. Let me know if you managed to pick up this one for yourself. Also, a big thank you to the folks over at Diamond Select who are nice enough to send this my way. Today we were having a look at the Diamond Select. This was the Uncanny X-Men gallery diorama statue of one of the coolest looking beasts around. I just don't know what he's kind of working around. What are those batons? I feel like they're kind of climbing apparatuses. The X-Men climb up. Beast is sort of just, maybe he's navigating his way down it. I don't know. Either way, though, what a fantastic looking statue. If you manage to pick up this one for yourself, let me know in the comment section what you guys think of it. Or, based on this review, heck, why not? Based on this review, and this review alone, what do you guys think of the new Uncanny X-Men Gallery Diorama statue, PVC Diorama Gallery statue, that's a whole mouthful, of Beast? If you guys also want to check out some more stuff from the folks over at Diamond Select, would you believe that they also have a YouTube page? Fancy that. The YouTube page is a good way, a good sneak peek at some of the stuff that's going to be coming up through the pipeline and coming out to your comic book stores in the next coming weeks, the next coming months. I don't think they're that far ahead that they could show us the next coming years, but you never know. I'll put the link down below. And speaking of down below, while Beast is inverted, looking upside down, you can look down upside down this video. That doesn't quite make sense. Needless to say, you can hit that subscribe button down below if you haven't done so already, and periodically swing on over to the home page. Why not? And see if there's any videos that you may have missed along the way. We're going to have a look at some upcoming statue reviews in the upcoming weeks, the upcoming months, and the upcoming years, so keep your peepers peeled for those. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.